Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Binging and Dragons. And I'm going to show you today how to carve up a core rulebook. So as you can see here, I picked up a copy of the DnD 5th edition Player's Handbook. Now, this thing is a big prime cut of meat, and we're talking about a full 316 pages. But the truth is that a whole lot of the information in this book is not relevant, and it's just excess fat that we can cut away. It may come as a surprise to some of you that I actually don't know how to play D&D 5th edition. Never played it, don't know how it works. I kind of come at this hobby from a very generalist stance. Currently my game of choice is Pathfinder 2nd edition, but I've played D&D 3.5, I've played 4th edition, I've played other systems like Dark Heresy and GURPS, and quite a few different things over the years. And while it might seem counterintuitive, because I've always tried to have this channel not pick a system so that I can appeal to the widest possible audience, the opposite has actually kind of ended up being true, and I need to learn the language of this system if I want to reach a lot of you, because there's a ton of you that I don't know yet that I would like to. Coming from a generalist standpoint, I have read a lot of rulebooks over the years, and I've learned how to play a lot of different games. So I don't think it's going to take me too long to get through this thing because I know the smart way to do it. And it dawned on me as I was preparing to do that a lot of new players don't know how to attack a rulebook like this to be able to read it in a manageable amount of time. And there's also plenty of people who have disabilities like ADHD that make it very difficult to try and tackle this thing in one big chunk. Or even other things like depression that might make it difficult to focus on this particular task for a long period of time. So we're going to go through it today, and we're going to talk about how we can split this thing up into little manageable chunks that won't actually take you that much time to learn. Right here, we're going to do two things at the start. The very first thing I look for in a rule system when I open it up is I try to find how you roll in this system. Now, in this particular case, I have played a lot of D20 systems in the past, so I know how D20 rolls work and all that. However, I've not played in a system that has advantage and disadvantage, and I kind of generally know what it is, but I want to make absolutely certain that I know in this rulebook. That's priority number one, is I need to know how dice rolling works, and there are some things I'm unclear on. And that's probably where you'll want to start. And those will usually be in the earliest few pages. After we've come to understand exactly how rolling works, then the easiest way to learn a new system is more by doing than it is by reading. So, we're actually going to start by making a character. And we're going to follow along the rules on creating a character. And the reason that we're going to do that is that a character sheet has like 90% of the stuff you're ever going to need to know about D&D as values that you need to put in. So by the time you have finished putting in a character sheet, you will know most of the rules and you will be aware of the things that you don't know and that you need to look up. So to start, I'm just going to skim through everything in here up till the character section. I will briefly skim through each of the classes and races and stuff, and then I'm going to start making my choices. Let's give him some peace and quiet to read, and in the meantime, let's get into a little bit more depth on how he's carving this thing up. Now, the very first section he's reading up on is the introduction section. And this section contains some stuff that's pretty basic that you probably know already, but it also covers some very important things such as how dice rolling works, as well as things like advantage and disadvantage. The next section would be the character creation section. And this is the part where we're going to learn the actual steps on creating a character, and every RPG rulebook will have one of these. So for now, skim on through, but we're going to go into more depth on it later, so the important thing is just to locate it and stick a bookmark in there. From there, he takes a little bit of a pre-read on some chapters he'll get into later, and he'll choose a class and race, but he's not looking into the mechanics of how they work yet. Okay, I'm now done the initial part of reading. So now it's time for us to build a character. From my skimming, I already picked out what I'm interested in building a character of, which is a tiefling sorcerer. I specifically chose a magic class because I think that's the most fair. If I'm going to show you that you can learn this in a day, I have to show you that you can also learn the magic system in a day. You'll also note that I am doing this absolutely with a notebook around, so that I can write down anything that seems unfamiliar to me, and then I can look that up separately. That's an important part. Normally when I'm doing this, I just keep it in my brain. However, I need to be very organized today because I'm also filming, which is a whole other task on its own. Alright, enough rambling, let's get to it. Let's build a D&D 5e character. Character creation will both begin and end, obviously, in the character creation chapter. But this thing is going to send you hunting all across the book for every piece of information you're going to need. The character creation chapter always says to start with your race and then your class and then do your ability scores, but I'm a bit of a purist. I always start with my ability scores in any system, as I always feel like that's the core of my character and everything else gets layered on top of it. So that's where I begin. After that's done, we go into our race section and we input all of the information it gives us into our sheet, exactly where it's labeled. Just like the racial information, we're going to go into our class section and we're going to do the exact same with all of our class features. This is going to take quite a bit longer as there's a lot more information on your class features than there is about your race information. To absolutely summarize what you need from your class section, it will come with a chart where it lists what exactly your class gives you at each level. So make sure you've consulted the chart and make sure that you're not missing anything. Once your class features have been implemented, return to the character generation section and continue following any and all instructions it gives you to fill out the rest of the blank areas on your sheet. The background section ended up being a third choice to make that I wasn't aware of at the beginning, and I chose to be a charlatan so that I could make my caster more of an illusion specialist. At this stage, if there's any details you've come across and you're not entirely sure how they work, you have two choices. If it's a piece of information that you need in order to fill out your sheet, then go look it up right now and then you can put it into your sheet. If it's something that you don't necessarily need to know the specifics of in order to finish your character sheet, then just make a note for yourself to look up what it does later. If you are not playing a magic class, you're actually done now. Congratulations! You have everything you need in order to play your character in a game of 5th edition. But as I am playing a sorcerer, I had to skim through the magic section and double check the rules. It was all fairly straightforward and nothing was particularly difficult to understand. Depending on which caster class you chose, you will now be asked by the book to go into your spell list and either choose a few spells that will become your spells, or you might have this entire class spell list as spell options that are available to you. So consult your class information on how your spellcasting works. From there, the notable thing that we haven't discussed yet is your equipment, and that is another one of those gigantic sections that really bloats up the book. You're given a small package of starting gear right from the get-go, and I recommend sticking with that for now. So look up exactly how those things work, and anything else you might want to buy can be explored at a later time. And hey, look at that, my character is now finished. Welcome back, everybody. It's actually been a few hours on my end. I had to break for dinner, and the house is very noisy in the evening here, but now everybody else is in bed, so we can resume. It didn't end up taking an outrageous amount of time to learn the system and to fill out the character sheet. Altogether, I would say it was about 2 hours, probably less, of reading and filling out the sheet. Now, your mileage is going to vary. It will possibly take you more time if you are unfamiliar with any tabletop role-playing game system at all. Most of the mechanics were more of a remix for me, like I've seen all of these things elsewhere, and I just needed to figure out how they slotted in. A few things were new, and those were the things that I took a bit more of my time to learn about. Things like the proficiency bonus is handled in a very different way than I've seen in any other game. I think it's a very simple way to do it, which is good, but it was new to me, so I had to spend a fair bit of time reading up on how that worked. And if you're going in completely fresh, then it will take you more time. However, as I've said for this whole video, if you split your reading up into these sort of tasks that you can accomplish because they have to go on your character sheet, then it becomes less about like putting it in your brain and more about finding the thing that will help you create this character sheet, which is a little bit more like tactile of an experience, and it makes it much easier to learn a system. And because it is now a series of tasks rather than one gigantic book you need to read, it should be much, much easier. So now that that's all done, I am reasonably certain that I understand about 85% of the rules I need to know in order to play the game. That last 15%, you could probably get away with just showing up to the session and saying, "Hey DM, I know how my character works, but I don't know how combat works. Can you show me in our first encounter?" DM will probably say, "Yeah, sure, no problem." However, I would like to go the extra mile, and I am going to read up on that myself right now. And the other thing that I'm going to read up on are some of the loose ends from my character creation that I had written down that I did not find the meaning of while I was creating my character. So I'm going to have to go searching through the book to find out what these things are. I know that my character has fire resistance, and resistance seems to work different in this system compared to other systems I've played, and I can tell that immediately because every other system I've played, resistance has like a numerical value attached to it, and this is just you have fire resistance. So that's different, so it must work in a different way than I'm used to, so I know that I need to go searching for the rules on what fire resistance does. And I also took a spell that can poison people, and I need to find out what the poison status effect does. Anything more than that sort of falls beyond the scope of this video, as it's more the dungeon master side of things. I'll probably do a follow-up at some point where I learn how to DM for D&D 5th edition, but that comes for another time. So there's not a lot of closure, I guess, at the end of this video. I know how to play now. I've got nothing to show for it. I just know how to play. I'm very confident that I can show up to a D&D 5th edition playgroup now and not have to have anyone tell me the rules. I just have my character. Maybe I have some questions, but I don't think that I need anyone to really explain much to me. And that all happened in not that much time. Now for other stuff that needs talking about. Wow, last video did surprisingly well. There are a whole lot more of you these days, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the cool side of the pillow. Also, that last video got like most of the people I was talking about in it, who are all gigantic YouTubers, to be commenting in my comment section and have seen my channel, and I have just been very bad about keeping my cool and pretending that I'm not completely nerding out, because I am completely nerding out. I would also like to give a shout out. If you're interested in hearing my voice even more, I am actually in a full cast production of an audiobook. And even better, it's available as a podcast for free online. So go check out Age of Valor by D.E. Morris. The author actually has no idea I'm shouting her out right now. I know she watches these videos, so I am probably going to get a very surprise Discord notification at some point. Looking forward to that. Hi, Diana. So get your knife and trim away that fat.